Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another really exciting episode of Voice of Crypto, where we get amazing guests on our podcast to talk all about the world of Web3, blockchain, crypto, and a lot more in terms of technological advancements. And today we have with us a really special guest who is Yvonne de Ville. Hi, Yvonne. Really happy to have you here today.
Hello there. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today, and welcome everyone. It's great to be spending my morning with you.
I'm glad that you decided to spend your mornings with us. So Yvonne is a finance and fintech activist. She heads IOD Finance, which is a fintech group. And I'm sure that the best person to talk about Yvonne would be Yvonne herself. So please, could you just go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yes, of course. So my name is Yvonne de Ville, and I have over 20 years experience within the financial sector. My journey actually started, quite hard. I used to be I was homeless, I was single mother. So I saw sort of the education and the technology as a way out to obtain better prospects in life for myself and my child. And so initially I actually studied computer science. So I used to be a coder back in the day, C++, Java, PL SQL, and so on. But then I sort of moved on to sort of the more managerial side, and I thought that my personality was most suited to managing projects. So working with financial organizations, mostly the big banks such as Barclays, Schroders, HSBC, Lloyds, Credit Suisse, and so on. I am currently also an author of a book called Cracking the Change Management
Mm.
Code, and I have it here with me.
Oh, wow.
It's
You're a ghostwriter.
available on Amazon and any other sort of major sort of book platform, and it's
Mhm.
about changing organizations. And since last year, I became the chair of the Finance and Fintech group in the Institute of Directors, and the group focuses of being the center of excellence for finance and fintech. We work on three pillars. Number one, this is to develop, so collaborate with businesses, not only with the Institute of Directors, but outside, to build better businesses. Number two is to develop, which means to educate, share knowledge, especially with the sort of changes in the technology that are very rapid. And number three is influence, so be the sort of center of expertise, work with the Institute of Directors policies, but also the UK government on the finance and fintech ecosystem. And we welcome everyone to follow us and take part in our events. And yes, we are very inclusive.
Yeah. So, Yvonne, could you tell us a little bit more about your role as the chair of IOD Finance and the FinTech group, and how did you build your community so fast? And what are the secrets of building an online community? While everyone in today's time is aiming towards it, you already sort of have aced that. So, how did you manage to do it?
Right. I think the most important thing is to have a passion and desire to build community. And it depends what kind of person you are. I love talking to people. I like the energy, but in the end of the day, it's a service. So I want to provide the best service to our followers, to our members. So the Institute of Directors have over 20,000 members, which are directors of sort of small, medium companies. On the just a LinkedIn page, they have over 70,000 followers. However, when I obviously started my group last year, we didn't have any followers, so we sort of self-standing, if you like to call it, a sort of sub-industry group within Institute of Directors. So nothing also happens in isolation. So you need to have supporters, you need to have people that work with you to create a community. And whether this is community in the sort of Web2 and, you know, real world, or whether this is the community sort of in Web3, the most important thing is to have a plan, an understanding of sort of what you're trying to build. So I'm very much sort of project manager and planner. So first of all, you know, you have to have your vision and mission, what you want to achieve, and you want to inspire and bring people with you on the journey, and have people that will share that mission and vision. And also now with the Web3, the ability there is to have a sort of joint idea and have a sort of joint building of the sort of Web3 space. We are not quite there on the Web3, but I always welcome ideas and sort of collaborations with individuals, with businesses, to help us grow. And this is, for me, it is about serving the community, serving our members and the followers. So it's really about them and what they want us to provide to them.
Absolutely. So when you see, when you look at Web3, and you've anyway been a very technically oriented sort of a woman, which not to sound very pessimistic, but there's quite a few women in tech, and this is largely due to the social impact, or the sort of misogynistic workplace, or the misogynistic world that we've been in. But you have been an inspiration, so to say, for women in tech. And when you look at Web3 or blockchain as a technology, do you see opportunities in it, and what sort of anticipations do you have from this technology going forward?
Okay, first of all, I think women have already made a great progress into technology, and different countries obviously have different sort of diversity level. But I think the COVID, although the COVID was very difficult time, the COVID created a big change in terms of adaptation of technology, and also reviewed sort of the mental health, and a lot of people thought about the careers. Yeah. How does that connect to women? That change in the thinking has opened a new route for women to work differently. And as the companies realize and adapt their sort of more flexible way of working, this gives a lot of women the opportunity to take part in the working life, because we know that most women we are helping the household, we look after the children. So, and because we are the creators of humans, in the end of the day, we need to take time from work and from our responsibilities, which sometimes can affect our career journeys. So having that flexibility and the technology advances allow us to do that. So with Web3 and the technology, we are able now not only to work within one country, but work with many countries. There is still necessity for further education and adaptation of technology, but I think nowadays that there is, you cannot separate anymore technology from normal businesses, right? Businesses are the based on IT. So everyone, whether you're woman, man, or however you identified yourself with, you have to be able to do the simple things, operate computer, operate your phone. And that allows us the flexibility as women to work at different times of the day when it suits our lifestyles and sort of the work around our responsibilities as mothers and wives.
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke about diversity and how it's so important to be in a diverse environment and for us women to sort of maintain that status quo. So, what is the importance of having a diverse workspace according to you, and how do you, as someone who is let's say a leader in a firm, how do you manage to do that?
Right. So it's actually been scientifically proven that diverse workforce generates better bottom line. So having a diverse workforce allows better perspective. So you have more ideas, more points of view to create better products for your customers. Most of organizations now are global and sell the services and sell the products globally, which means that they have the customers are from diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
Therefore, you no longer can have a workforce which is not diverse
Mhm.
because you do not have um, um, the understanding of your customer. So having the diversity allows you to not only understand thinking of your customers, but
Mhm.
get new ideas that you would not be able to obtain from your own environment.
Mhm.
Um, and the way to do it, I think most companies already have the policies
Yeah.
to ensure that they attract diversity. But I think most of all, the most important thing is our adaptation of thinking. And this is for us to engage with people that are not like us, because it's very easy when you sort of go for lunchtime to sit with your own group of friends, right?
Mm.
But I think there are some organizations that if actually introduce sort of this policy that
Mhm.
once a day they want someone from one team to work in a different team and see it. It's almost like a shadowing totally different department, totally different team, and that allows you to see how other people work and how other teams think, and that gives you different perspective of working in your organization in different area, and also meet new people and expands your mind and your knowledge. And I think um, sometimes it's good for us also in our personal life to actually do something that we are not used to doing, and
Mhm.
engage with people that we never normally would speak to, or go to a event or go to a lecture, do something outside our comfort zone to
Yeah.
expand our mind and learn something. I think this is the core. It starts within us and our view of the world, and how we can sort of break the box around us and see things, the amazing things, because the world is really beautiful, and there are so many smart people out there. So I
Yeah.
think we'll be disservicing ourselves if we just sort of stick to our own bubble.
Absolutely. And we recently celebrated International Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to you, belated.
Thank you, the same. Yes.
And I was speaking to a few really powerful women in the from the Web3 space, and one of them said that it's very important for us to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And you sort of said the same thing. So totally agree with what you said. But apart from that, as a woman in tech, and this has traditionally been seen a male dominated space, but there's been a massive change in how the narrative was in the last couple of years, so to say. And you did mention how COVID brought a wave in those terms, and there were changes and there are advancements that are happening, and we have more powerful, more enthusiastic women who want to constantly learn and prosper. But despite of all of that, there's still a gender pay gap that we see in not just Web3, but traditional finance space, of course, traditional tech space for sure, but in the Web3 space too. I mean, so many smart, young, powerful women that I come across are still facing these issues. So, I mean, how do you address this, and how do we as women address these really basic issues that have been a part and parcel of the society for a really long time?
Right. Okay. So there's a number of different questions.
Yeah.
I personally, what I believe is you have to set example. So I, through sort of my group, always encourage women. And recently we had an event on the 7th March where we were talking about digital identity, Metaverse, Web3, and actually on our panel we had 4 ladies, only
Wow.
1 gentleman. So I purposely wanted to show that we do have very smart and powerful women, and this is about setting the example.
Yeah.
So work by example. But I think most of all, the important thing is the education. So, you know, long time ago, over sort of, I don't know how many years now, I don't want to think 20, 30 years, when I went to university, I think there was about 3 ladies in my course. And I had no idea about computers. I never seen one. I didn't know how to use one, but I knew that this is the only way that I can be current and that I can progress myself.
Yeah.
So it starts actually from with education and with changing the mindset. And but I think there is a lot of well, I can only speak it about sort of UK and Europe, but there are a lot of support group for women nowadays. We have a lot of women in tech, women in finance and business. There is a lot of communities that have been created in real life, a lot of groups that support women. And now we need to take this space to Web3 as well, and educate and teach ladies, how to use the new system and what benefits it will give them. But I think one of the challenges that I came across was that, unfortunately, a lot of women, or some of the women, were not always advocates for other women. And this was the case mostly because it was so hard to go to sort of raise on the career as a woman, that women became very protective of that space. So they didn't want any other woman to take the space, because there was not enough space for women. It was very male dominated. So what we need to do with women, we have to support each other. We can't rely on anyone else. But also for our male colleagues, we also have to allow them to be our advocates as well. So it's about education. It is about our own belief and ability as well, because when you look at men and women, I think men are usually by their nature more confident, and they are more sort of when you speak to women, men is always sort of more confident about their own abilities, and it's more eager sort of exaggerate of what they're able to do. Whereas in a lot of ladies, very smart ladies, very bright ladies, they are usually a little bit more shy, and this is to do with the upbringing, where they are told to be, sweet and gentle and so on. So we need to change it. We need to not be more aggressive. We still want to be more feminine, but work on our confidence and our ability, and that comes from understanding our subjects and believing in ourselves.
Absolutely. So, Yvonne, as someone who's already in tech, let's say this is a social evil, so to say, where women sort of fear this space. They they're not sure. You mentioned how women might be a little less confident and might downplay sometimes their own skills. So while now, of course, there are a lot of women in tech and Web3 in the Metaverse NFT space, and it's really great to see so many women coming into this space. But still, there's a little bit of a scare element that women have when they want to enter this space. So why do you think women should be entering the tech space a little more?
I think we have no choice. Let's be honest, that we have no choice. Whether we like it or not, the technology is advancing, and we can't stop it. It will not stop. So, you know, the Web3 Metaverse, it's already here. Most big organizations are already using this space. You know, just look, you know, 20 years ago when I started, not everyone had a computer. I definitely didn't have a mobile phone, right? Now everyone has a mobile phone. Most people have the laptops, and everything is, you know, the internet. You know, if you were listening, you know, when my auntie and some of my old relatives, they don't have internet. They have no understanding of it, but they realize how it impacts their life now because they've been left behind.
Yeah.
They can't do simple things anymore. And my auntie I was speaking to her the other day, and she loves cross paddles, and she says, oh, if only I had an internet, I could have Googled and find out the answer. And you know, this is a lady who is in her 90s, and you know, she realizes now that she made a mistake, and you know, she was so against the technology, and now she thinks, oh my gosh, it would have been so great. So first of all, we have no choice. If you don't develop with the technology, if you don't learn, you're going to be irrelevant, and you won't be able to do simple things. You know, a lot of you know, the usage of mobile phone is just, you know, for simple, you know, banking, shopping, and so on. Imagine in few years, obviously the artificial intelligence will be in place, more personal apps will be in place, you know, the metaverse and Web3 will be reality. So if you're not in that reality, virtual reality, your life will be impacted, and it will be damaging to women, to anyone who stays behind, because you will have to rely on other people help. And we want to be independent, we want to be self-sufficient, we want to be strong. And in order to achieve, we have to move with the progress, and don't look as a technology as something that it's you know, difficult, it's damaging. It's there to help us and make our life easier. So just embrace it, and look for where the technology can help you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yvonne, as a change expert, how do you think that Web3 and Metaverse and the adoption of this technology would change human behavior? We've already seen that with the internet, like with your auntie's example, in fact. So how do you think the advancement of Web3, blockchain, and Metaverse would sort of change that wiring, the wiring of the human brain?
For sure. I mean, it's going to be enormous, and I don't think we all quite realize how drastic this change will be. Of course, there are also positive and negatives to this change, but you know, let's focus on the positive. The virtual reality will enables, for instance, let's look at schooling and teaching. I don't know how you've been taught, but I've been taught to memorize things.
Same.
And you know, I remember sitting till late nights and trying to memorize. At those days, we didn't really have sort of many pictures in the books. But now with the virtual reality, if you wanted to learn about planets or or history, you will be able to be that in that world. You'll be able to see it and experience it. And I mean, how amazing is that? Already, you know, there is for instance, Accenture has already created sort of the virtual world where they have sort of virtual offices based on the sort of real offices where you can engage with your colleague in real time. There will be sort of usage also of the avatars, so you can sort of create your own personality. You'll be able to, for instance, let's imagine about someone who is bedridden or is unwell and is not able to travel. But imagine going into virtual world where you can go and visit other countries. I mean, and not only from visual perspective like now where we can sort of watch videos, but actually experience and be there. And I think with the advancement of technology, there will be a way where we'll be able actually to feel things as well.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of opportunity there. Yes, of course, we will have to worry, you know, about a lot of about the security. The way of thinking and behavior will change. So the importance of communities will be very important, because being in a virtual world will sort of remove us slightly from the reality and can cause also isolation. And we have experienced that in obviously COVID, when we were sort of locked down. And if you were unfortunate where you were alone, it can have very damaging effect on your mental health. So the metaverse and Web3, the creation of communities where you can be co-creator, rather than now where in the Web2 where you sort of a participant. In a Web3 metaverse, you can co-create the world, your sort of mini view, and that gives you more power and sense of belonging. So I think that's amazing, sort of just the possibility of new experiences.
Absolutely.
And yes, business as well, you'll be able to also have your ownership of your items. So there's a lot of amazing things that are coming out.
So when we talk about technology and technological advancements, what are a few technologies that you are really hopeful of in the future that you think can really tick off? So
Well, I think there's a lot of technologies that have already been created, but the adoption will take time. So for instance, we've just sort of mentioned artificial intelligence. I think there's recently been a lot of sort of press about chat,
yeah.
and this is sort of amazing, because as an author who sort of written a book, and actually I've got another book coming out this year, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've spent so much time writing where I can have this robot doing this work for me. So artificial intelligence is obviously already exists, but what's happening with this, we now having artificial intelligence that's able to alter their own code. So obviously there is a lot of issues with sort of ethics and how it will transpire, but a sort of self-learning artificial intelligence is definitely going to exist. Robots or human robots, where they're going to be looking more like us, will be soon part of our existence. I think the important thing is the sustainability, because a lot of the technologies now already use a lot of power. So there is a big focus now of how do we use the technology that is more sustainable and protects the planet. So that I think this is focus for everyone in technology now, you know, how the advances can, you know, generate a different energy. And I remember I was listening to one podcast where they were talking about, soon the possibility to, for instance, travel to Mars, or use resources from other planets. So if we were to able to get energy from an asteroid or different planet, that will solve a lot of problems here on our planet. And let's not forget about the gene technologies, but the adaptation of the different health tech. We could solve so many illnesses and help so many people that are bedridden, that have illnesses that are currently incurable. So for me, there is that those technologies already exist. We have also quantum computing, where the speed of the computing will be increase, and we can I think a lot of this technology will be used in sort of space and sort of space travel. There's lots of exciting things, but I think for us the most important will be to actually have regulations, look at the morals and ethics, and how we make sure that this technology is actually used for the good of the people rather than against the people. And this is one of the biggest challenges that we have today, is that the technology is advancing so much, but we can't keep up with the regulation and the adaptation and ensuring that it doesn't go to the wrong hands. I think that's the most important at the moment. Make sure we have regulations and really understand how it all works before it's too late.
Absolutely. So as individuals, we have to keep up with the technology. Regulations need to keep up with the technology. And another, I think businesses also need to keep up with this ever-growing technology. And there's some new tech that's coming up, and which sort of disrupts the sector, and then the businesses are left behind. Even if we look at ChatGPT, the AI sort of talking bot, and Google came up with their own Bard, which didn't work that well, but they tried anyway. And now I'm sure there are a lot of other companies that are trying to sort of replicate that or do it in a better way. So how do businesses keep up with this ever-growing technology? What suggestions would you have for entrepreneurs to sort of keep up with it?
Right. I think it's so it's different when you have sort of small company, different when you have a large organization. When you have a small company, I think the adaptation is much easier because sort of your layers of management, you don't have such a sort of big hierarchy. And when you originally a fintech or technical company, you're already operating on systems that are more agile. You have more agile ways of thinking. You probably don't even have an office. You work remotely, so you are already adapted to technology. Your next bit is just to make sure that you keep up with it and you learn. Now, unfortunately, large organizations that have been, established for even 100 years, they're unfortunately the system are very old. So they and because of the size, there's a lot of layers, a lot of management hierarchy, different governance systems and regulations they have to adhere. Therefore, the change takes time, and they, by definition, they are slower adapters. They probably have more sort of financial power to purchase the technology, but the adaptation is slower. What is the answer? Obviously, the answer is also to make sure that we have a diverse and educated workers, and so the focus is really on the individual, because this is the individual that drives the change. and your organization will adapt to the change quicker if your individuals, your employees in your workforce is up to date with the technology. So we shouldn't really leave it to our employers to teach us and to bring us up to date. It has to come from us. And as an organization, we need to make sure that we provide safe space to our employees to ask questions and to create spaces that they can learn and educate and actually invest in the employees, because the worst thing that can happen and does happen, that when there is no progression, where there is no development, where there is stillness, we lose our workforce. They go somewhere else where they have better opportunities to develop their skills and learn. The only way to keep our workforce is to enable this in-house. So that's what the organization needs to focus, to invest in their employees' technical abilities.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when talking about education and before entering any space, any sector, it's really important to educate yourself about this sector, its shortcomings, the pros and cons of either a new technology or anything that you're getting into. So when we talk about educating yourself, what are the best ways in which one can self-educate before sort of experimenting with a new technology or entering a new sector?
Well, I think we are quite, well, I think it depends where you are, but we are very fortunate because we have the internet. Now we have the Web3, right? The adaptation to the Web3 and Metaverse is very slow, but let's look at it now the traditional. I mean, YouTube. Yeah. There is so much information on YouTube, so many courses that you can learn. On LinkedIn, there is, the internet is, it's really full of information. I think the challenge is for us now to actually find time and commit, because I think a lot of us, we waste a lot of times on social media scrolling through things that are not really important. A lot of videos of dancing, jokes, and which is great, but actually the important thing is to find be very specific about what we want to learn, and reach out to channels and podcasts like yourself that you currently have, that educate and actually bring perspective from different people. And that's one of the things that you're doing. You having interviews with different experts all over the world, and that's the opinions of other people and expertise. This is what will give you a better understanding of what's happening in the industry. So definitely listen to podcasts, listen to sort of video blogs, news. I think this is the best way to learn. Yes, of course, you go to educational establishments, get official qualifications. That's always very important. But there is so much free education out there. It's all we really need to do is commit and listen and expand our minds.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. It's a great chat, Yvonne. We are almost running at the end of our time. Do you have any closing thoughts for our viewers?
Well, I wanted to thank you very much for the opportunity to share sort of my thoughts with you. And of course, I welcome everyone to get my book, Cracking the Change Management Code. And as I said, we are very, very inclusive. So if anyone has any questions or want to even sort of virtually follow our group, please let me know. We are at the moment only on the sort of LinkedIn, but I'm actually thinking with my team, how to build sort of the community in Web3. So if anyone has a good idea, do let me know. I think that we should always be open to other ideas and learnings and so on, and that's where I am, in a space of learning, understanding more about Web3, Metaverse and NFTs, decentralization. I think this space is still so exciting, and there is so much to learn because it's developing. So as it's developing, we are learning, and hopefully maybe next time we speak, I will give you my Web3 space and I say, yeah, this is our community now, please join us.
Yes, fingers crossed. With this
Yeah,
space ever evolving and ever growing, there's something new and something fun to learn every time. And I'm sure that you'll be surprised by the new possibilities that this space presents.
exactly.
And it's our pleasure to have you here on our podcast today. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us so early in the morning. And about growing your community, we will definitely get in touch about it later
Yeah,
sometime. And thank you so much for joining us today. I request all my viewers to go ahead and follow Yvonne and follow IOD, and all the very best to you with your future ventures, and hope to see you again soon and talk a lot more about Web3 and finance and tech.